And that means we are live here on our YouTube channel, Tackle Trading's Halftime Report. It is 2 days before Christmas. The markets are open, but not a lot going on. Some individual corporate news we're going to get to: Boeing, Disney, Apple, some upgrades, some downgrades, some interesting stuff going on with Uber and Tesla. Some economic data this week, but it is kind of a light week in the market. Welcome out to our show, everybody. Hashtag Team Tackle. If you're a veteran of our community and you come here all the time, put that hashtag right in the chat. And if you're new, do it as well. Might as well join our tribe here over at Tackle Trading. And if you've never subscribed or, click the bell for our channel, make sure that you do so and come back and join us each and every day. The markets are live. We've got Cody, we've got Matt, we've got myself, Tim Justice here. Matt, how are you doing today on this Christmas week?
Tim, doing absolutely fantastic. Excited to be here with the crew. Just by way of, a little housekeeping here. Tomorrow being Christmas Eve, we will not be doing the halftime report tomorrow. Obviously, we will not be doing the halftime report on Christmas either. But we will be right back with you guys with normal programming starting on, I believe, on Thursday. Right, Thursday. So I just want to as we start here today, Tim. It's been a fantastic year at Tackle Trading, and I'm sure we'll do a lot of, reminiscing in the podcast today and obviously next week's as well. But I just want to give a big shout out to Team Tackle. I mean, just how much passion and care they have about financial education and doing this the right way and doing it slow so they can have a tendency to keep it. I just want to wish them all an absolutely fantastic holiday season and Merry Christmas to everybody out there.
Yeah, Merry Christmas for sure. Happy holidays. I'm very grateful as well. And we'll do quite a bit of reminiscing, I'm sure, about the year here, Matt, especially when we're podcasting today and looking back at the 2019 predictions we had at the first of the year. I was going through last year's podcast. I got to tell you, I'm so fired up to just kind of talk about, make fun of myself on that podcast a little bit. Just enjoy it. Yeah, I'm looking forward.
It's always fun to do predictions, right? I mean, it just is. It's fun to do predictions. And you had a few Bernanke's. I can't remember exactly.
Was it the 60,000?
No, that was 2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
he's had a doozy. He's had a doozy. Pretty normal at least once a year.
I'll give you the one I know I'm going to get the most gruff about, and it will be my stock market call down at. I believe I had the stock market
down 20.
Down 20%.
Down 20. What did I have? Do you remember?
I'm looking at it right now.
I think I said up 10, 15.
I believed we were going to see continued pressure through the bear market that was developing. If you remember last year, the day before Christmas, on
20% down.
That's when our Secretary of Treasury Mnuchin was putting out all that Twitter stuff and whatnot, and the markets actually crashed that day. We were down into that one-day bear market. I said we were going to continue. 2130 on the S&P was my projection. Matt, you had 2650, slightly back up a little bit, I think, from where we were. Yeah.
Well, I think we were all wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, just looking back at this year and, it just not even just this year. If there's one thing coming into the last week of the 2010s, Tim, if the market of this year, it just reflects what happened over the course of the last 10 years. I mean, to watch the Fed go to unprecedented levels this year, it just reminded me of this decade of how they changed the way they approach seeing inflation and maximized unemployment and, all the versions of quantitative easings and creative ways that the Fed now tries to lower interest rates without letting the American population know it. It's been a fascinating year. It's been a fascinating decade. And, we're going to have some, I'm sure we'll have some Bernanke's this year, because I don't know if anybody could have anticipated what the Fed did this year.
Does it give you any kind of special, thought process or make you reminisce even more being the end of the decade, Matt? Because it's 2019. Yeah. We're going to 2020 next week. So
yeah, it does. It was just such a fascinating decade, and every decade's fascinating. Every decade we see something new, and I'm just excited to approach the 2020s, T. I'm excited about it.
Fired up. Let's get down to business right here on the market, Matt. S&P, Dow, NASDAQ, and the Russell. I mean, there's specific news in the Dow. The Dow is leading in that regard because of the news out of Boeing and some other corporate news out of Apple and MMM. Specific news in those companies. That's one thing about the Dow. Being only 30 companies, a few news stories can make the Dow go out and lead on any given day in the market. I'm seeing the market exactly as we saw it last Friday when we left it off, and where the tackle trading coaches have it ranked. Just bullish, Matt. We're definitely showing strength. What are you seeing in the broad indexes here?
Specifically the Dow. I mean, most of the market today is just kind of hanging out and it's really kind of boring. You're going to have very limited market participation. We close early tomorrow, I believe, at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Obviously, the market's closed on Wednesday, back open on Thursday and Friday. But to me, Tim, this week in the market is just like very limited news can really kind of drive price a little bit because you just don't have that much participation this week, even though the holidays don't really start till tomorrow and Wednesday. I think most participants kind of are taking this week off. I mean, think about it just here, Tim. We have 37 people watching our show right now. We usually have 80, right?
Yeah.
Most people coming into this week, they're traveling, they're spending time, and people like you and me who, 2 days before Christmas, we're still thinking about what do we get our wives for Christmas, let alone, the market here. So, and Cody's just judging us. Wait till you're 20 years married, Cody. It happens. Young man, millennial, being a judger, married for a year. He's just like, oh, wow.
By the way,
no, it happens.
You've been married 2 years now. Calm down.
2 years. Oh, go to McDonald's again. So in terms of
Taco Bell,
we've been together.
Oh yes, it's Taco Bell. I actually love that routine Cody has for Taco Bell though. But my point is, it's just most people not caring about the market. So when you have a news day like today, and you have Boeing, making the announcement and justifiable announcement in firing their CEO. It's going to have a little bit greater price action on the Dow than it will the S&P or the, NASDAQ or the Russell 2000. So, I don't want to give credit to Boeing here, Tim, at all. Like, really? Just like, are we supposed to be confident in flying the 737 MAX plane now that they fired the CEO who should have been fired literally 6 months ago?
Can we give them a smidge of credit?
No, I'm not going to give credit to Boeing. They need to go further. It's not just the top. It's not just the top that needs to cut. They need to cut off that rattlesnake too. You got to fire anybody that knew anything about what was going on with that MAX plane. Let those criminal probes play out. Let those civil probes play out. So I'm not interested in Boeing here just simply because they fired the one man that was like the easiest call to make. Like
the engineers that knew, the safety inspectors that knew, the financial analysts that ran the numbers to see whether they should do a recall. Every single one of them that knew about this should be gone.
Every single one of them. I agree 100%. Obviously, the market's going to celebrate that news, up 2.7% off the lows of support. But this is to me, I don't think this goes far enough, and I don't think the market will think this goes far enough. And I don't. I read one report that Boeing did this specifically so they could get FAA approval.
I read that as well. That's where I was going to go next, Matt. It feels like that wink, wink, nod, nod from the FAA. You guys got a clean house for us to present a public image in 2020, even if it's 3 or 6 months from now. But if they had the same CEO and the same leadership, I don't think the FAA would have got this 737 MAX back out on.
But so you're telling me the board of directors didn't know anything?
Dude,
and yet all they did is reshuffle the board and name the new CEO, one of the old existing executive board members.
Mm-hmm.
Bring somebody else in from outside.
It is one of the reasons
that company is toxic right now.
Yeah,
toxic right now. So I don't feel that fixes the problem.
Some people could see a bearish retracement, Matt, here. Trigger confirmation. Could you short this or play a put option? Do something in bearish directional play here.
I don't think you can touch it bearish yet until we see support violated here. Mm-hmm. I think you got to watch the floor get taken out, and that floor right now has got to be right there about that 320-ish area. So something underneath 320. Yeah, I definitely believe you can play it there. I just don't think we're done with this. Firing the CEO, it does not make this a conclusion. We're still going to see the Boeing 737 go, basically on the shelf starting in January. First time in 2 decades that they've shut down production on the 737. So, to me, they still got a long way to go to get the public trust, and I still believe they got a long way to go to get FAA approval. And again, firing one man and replacing that one man with another man from the board of directors does not fix the problem.
No, I don't think it fixes the problem either. Obviously, it's something that had to happen. You could have seen it coming here at some point. They did act quick from that board meeting they had a week ago. There's no question about it. Probably should have happened 6 months ago, Matt, in my estimation. Boeing up a little bit on the news, bringing the Dow up just a hair. Also, 3M was upgraded at JP Morgan, another Dow component. And, this is an interesting stock here. And if you look at that inverted head and shoulders on the weekly, you've got some pattern developing here, Matt, in terms of that bullishness. It is not an entry point for me in any stretch of the imagination. But if you're looking forward into 2020 and looking for some dogs of the Dow kind of dividend payers to come back up, I mean, a break back to the upside here would be a significant trend break, in my opinion. What's your read?
Yeah, that's mine too. And I'm glad you said the dogs of the Dow here. Obviously, that is a philosophy some people believe in, right? That, the look at the ones on the Dow that kind of got beat up, underperformed, pick them up, bottom barrel fishing kind of type investing philosophy. I don't believe in that. I believe in technical analysis, right? And when you're looking at this from a year-to-date perspective, and the S&P is up 30%, everything's euphoric, and 3M's been down for 2 consecutive years now. I mean, from the high price of 260 now, pinging right now at 177. That's an environment where we've seen historical price action. So in looking at this, my focus is on support resistance levels, and you're clearly seeing a W formation, inverted head and shoulders, however you want to categorize that bullish reversal pattern. You are clearly seeing that. And not only are you now clearly seeing that, you're trying to break out of that weekly support on increased volume. It's pretty positive. I could definitely understand somebody picking it up.
Yeah, definitely an interesting one. By the way, I just have to make note of a very fun, sarcastic comment. Mohammed, definitely points for you here on 2 days before Christmas. Coach Matt, please forgive Boeing. They understood their mistake by firing their CEO. Obviously, little sarcasm there from one of our Team Tackle members, Mohammed. And I loved your goal you said earlier. Coach Tim, 2020 will be the year that I try to increase my knowledge about stock market, especially the options theory. I'll tell you, Mohammed, what Matt was talking about here with 3M, start with technical analysis. You learn how to read a chart. You cut through a lot of the noise, Matt. There's no question about it.
No, price action is king, it's queen, it's everything. It's what we believe in more than absolutely anything else, because regardless of our knowledge level and experience within the marketplace, there are a vast amount of things we just don't know. There's too many variables. Too much information out there. And so as somebody who believes in price action and believes that fundamentals are embedded in price action to a large extent, price action can help you overcome a lot of that, can help you cut through the noise to a certain extent.
Apple Computer had their price raised, not an upgrade, but a price target raise. And whenever a stock like this is performing as strong as it has in 2019, these analysts are going to try to play catch up and always keep raising the price target. 283 to end the year here, Matt. Obviously, we're not done with the year, but what an incredible year Apple has had. It definitely deserves a higher price target if you're an analyst, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I read that article today about how they upgraded the price target to 350 from 325, I believe, and that's the highest one on Apple on the street right now. And I was thinking to myself, the first thing I thought about was, okay, which analyst just completely and utterly made that number up, right? And then I started thinking to myself, how many times in my life have we've been sitting in that scatter report meeting, for example, Tim, and the stock is really, really, really strong and it's breaking out of resistance, and literally there's no resistance up there. And, we get our first target based on potential average yield or extended trend lines or something along those lines. And then me and Frankie will be debating the second target. And I'll say, Frank, just make something up. It doesn't matter. Right. And so, when you're dealing with a company like Apple and you're breaking out of a high base right now, and it's been one of the strongest, one of the, if not the best performing stock, out of those blue chip stocks out there this year, and it's breaking out today out of another high base consolidation, man, I'd personally target 300 because it's a significant whole number, but they're probably looking at this more as a position investment type situation. Yeah. Apple's the king right now.
Yeah, it's
undisputed, in my opinion. Undisputed. It's king. It's got the belt, Tim. It's got the heavyweight belt.
It's the champ. I mean, if you're going to knock off the champ, you got to go after it. It is number one right here, in my opinion, as well. What a great year out of Apple Computers so far up to this point. When's the, kind of the nod for best stock of the year, Matt? Do you think? I mean, it may not be the best performer percentage wise, but in terms of growing market cap, this
in terms
stock,
of growth,
yeah.
Oh my God, you're talking about $470 billion in wealth that's created for the investor class.
Yeah.
Think about that number. $480 billion it is made in investor wealth in 2019 alone. It's a staggering number. And by the way, it was not Apple coming into this year. I would say it was Disney or Microsoft kind of fighting for that belt. Amazon was certainly there. Google was certainly there in terms of brand loyalty, market cap, valuation, trends, fundamentals, all that jazz. And, Apple, despite Apple going up 71% year to date, Tim, 72, 73, I haven't done the math in the last couple of days, it still only has a P ratio at 22.
Mm-hmm. It's incredible, because
that might be the most astonishing thing of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I think Apple or a Google or a Microsoft has performed so well this year, where a Netflix and an Amazon, who are really high PE ratio stocks, they kind of had a year where they settled back, and it's kind of coming back to a reversion to the mean. It's really interesting. It's going to be a tough one to project.
Can I say valuation matters again?
Value matters.
Valuation matters.
I like that. More corporate news I want to get to real quick here, Matt. Disney did launch their 9th version of whatever Star Wars film. I think they probably had like 12 or 15 of them. I don't even know. I'm not who's keeping track. But the Rise of Skywalker actually fell flat for their projections and expectations here, Matt. Did you go see the movie, number one?
Well, let's have some perspective on falling flat. They did sell $170 million within Canada and the US. They're approaching 300 million worldwide. It's going to be another $1 billion hit for Disney. And for the most reviews I read, it's a better movie than some of the other, the first two in this series. So, I haven't seen it. I heard it's a good ending. I will see it. I on any one of these types of movies, I can't take that many people at a theater, T. I just can't. Yeah. I'm getting too old for that. So I'll wait till like a random, Wednesday, and we'll take the family out there at 3:00 so we don't have to deal with ananybody.
Dude, I will say
the assigned seating though has made movie theater experiences so much better.
Oh, I agree.
Being able to get your seat and the recliner kicks out and everything.
It's why like Southwest sucks, Cody. No assigned seating.
And by the way,
have assigned seating out there yet?
I don't think Matt's rant is that he didn't have.
Oh, you're saying Southwest Airline.
He doesn't want to be with 300 people watching Star Wars. I don't think is what I'm picking up on. But I'm going to go see it at some point. I'm with you. Maybe just a matinee one of these days. I will go see it. I will say anecdotally from some of my nerd friends out there, and I love you, on my Facebook feed, my Twitter feed, they were saying some relatively positive things, Matt. So my expectations are coming up from the weekend reviews so far. Definitely got to go see it. I've been watching The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. I got to tell you, it's great. It is great. Baby Yoda is the greatest thing ever. If you need to fall in love again with the Star Wars franchise, go watch The Mandalorian. That Baby Yoda will remind you of how pure this franchise really is. I'm excited to go see this movie now as well. More corporate news here. Tesla, Matt.
I'll tell you, this got me addicted to the Star Wars franchise again.
The game.
This thing. I'm replaying it, and it's an awesome game. Like, it's addicting. It's a really good game, really well made.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to play as like the Jedis with lightsabers jumping around and just slicing people up, awesome.
Well, that's kind of the cool thing about Disney and the Star Wars franchise, quite frankly. Even if you go to the park, they've got that whole Star Wars section there. The merch they sell, the games they sell, the entire thing is an incredible success. And you're right, Matt. The headline of falling flat, I mean, that's just analyst expectations. They're eventually going to come in with all the numbers, and they've made
the expectations were between 170 and 200 in the US and Canada. They came in on the low end of expectations. But in my opinion, it's not like everybody's not going to see it. No. It's the conclusion to the Skywalker line.
Yeah. Got to go see it.
Even Mark will see that at some point.
He will.
He won't tell us. He won't tell us, but he will see it.
Yeah, and he'll probably like it. I'm going to be interested to talk to him about Star Wars a little bit when he does go and see it.
Listen, I get it. As middle-aged men, we grew up on Star Wars. We remember Luke Skywalker, and we remember Leia, and we remember Vader, and we remember all these. Go watch them again, guys. There's some really, really bad acting and corny lines and some faulty storytelling in those movies.
It's always been a kid show.
And yet we still look back on them with this nostalgia of just, oh my God, there's some of the most amazing movies. And I say that as somebody who will tell you Empire Strikes Back is one of the most amazing movies in the history of movies and storytelling. So, but sometimes when we look back, we just kind of we got the beer goggles on sometimes.
I agree. I agree with that 100%. Elon finally got his 420 joke, by the way, and he went for it. He did not let the softball go. He 420 on Twitter, and he was tweeting up a bunch of stuff about it. Matt, Tesla.
Man, that stock's so high. Thanks, Elon. You should have said, I got a Saudi Arabian buyer at 420 again, you liar.
Do you think Elon is a funny guy, like in dinner conversations?
I think he thinks he's funny.
He does think he's funny. I can tell that he thinks he's funny.
I think other people tell him he's funny because he's the rich billionaire buying all of them their food and whatnot.
Yep.
But no, I do not believe Elon Musk is funny.
He goes.
Dave Chappelle's funny. Yeah. When Dave Chappelle was standing up there with Eddie Murphy for Saturday Night Live, and Dave Chappelle says, "You're looking at half the budget of Netflix up here." That was funny.
Yeah. You got to give Tesla some credit this year. I mean, look at that stock even since the debacle of when they announced that truck. You know, you look at the earnings report in the fourth quarter, Matt, it has had an incredible run just the last 2 months. You know, we've gone from 250 to 420 in 2 months.
He got his 420 and he got price appreciation. And I think he got what he wants the most, and that's to beat up the shorts. And they have obviously capitulated and especially in the last 3 weeks, Tim. Yep. I mean, that short float is just coming down, 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 down. And we've said it before, we'll say it again. How you beat the shorts, you build a profitable company.
Yeah.
And they'll run away. Definitely. And it'll help your stock price. And that's what we're seeing here. You got to give him credit. Better
year for him than it was the year before. There's no question about that.
Absolutely.
Other companies grabbing my attention here today, Matt, then we'll go through the dollar, commodities, and sectors. Uber, their CEO is potentially selling some of his shares off from what I've been reading. Obviously, volume like crazy down here on Uber after that date, Matt. And it has come back a little bit. We're up near a resistance point above some short-term moving averages. Do you think, Uber's got a bright future in front of us here in 2020? I mean, there's some reversal characteristics on the chart, but there's some negativity in the stock as well. What was your read on that story?
I believe it's one of the co-founders. I think he's only got about 10% left of his position. And it looks like he's going to get out of it completely. And, the story was basically trying to indicate that he's selling because he doesn't believe in the company long-term or whatever the case might be. I guess you got to give rationale and logic to everything these days. But, I don't know. I mean, this is a tough one for me with Uber and Lyft when you're thinking about them long-term, because I still see some problems in this space from a regulatory perspective. I still see some problems in the space from a path to profitability, from a valuation perspective. And, outside that, I mean, you are reclaiming moving averages. You are seeing reversal tendencies. Can Uber and Lyft specifically have banner years in 2020? Absolutely. I mean, is it in the cards? I don't know. That one's a difficult one to answer. I mean, to me, Tim, even though you are seeing some technical reversals, Uber and Lyft can get, just beat up without a moment's notice. And so this one's like a coin flip, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
If you tell me if Apple's going to go up in 2020, I'm going to say yes.
Uber, I don't know. It's a tough one. Yeah, I agree with that as well. I do like Lyft a little bit more. We've talked about that, having that would you rather between Lyft and Uber. That's a personal perspective and opinion. But
me too. I have leaps on Lyft. I mean, so, it's obviously I believe in Lyft a little bit more than Uber, but, it's just a small position just to see what happens. I like what I'm seeing technically.
Linda Vasquez, I've got to acknowledge this question. Where is Mark? Mark is back from his vacation and preparing for our podcast today, Linda. And I'm sure he's hiding from you because you are kicking his butt in our fantasy football league. Congratulations, Linda. I know it's not in the books yet, but it does look like. Not in the books
yet. She's up 35 points.
Yeah, I think Linda's going to end up winning.
Which ends tonight. So, Linda, keep kicking his butt.
Yeah,
take that championship.
Mark will be back on the halftime show probably Thursday, Friday when we're back here after the holiday, Linda. But congrats on that fantasy football win. She kicked all of our butts this year, Matt. I did not have a good year in fantasy football, by the way. Very, very mediocre. And that's even just me being kind to myself. Moving on through some other corporate news here, Matt. Micron upgrade. I do love the chips. We've been talking about semiconductors. By the way, I got to tell you, MU, they had a fantastic earnings report, in my opinion. I loved what the CEO said. 3M as well. We've looked at this one already. Move on to Micron if you can. unless you got commentary on 3M.
No.
Yep. Micron.
I read my notes instead of listening to you.
That's all right. Micron, I love this one moving forward, Matt. In fact, I love what the CEO said on the earnings call, about a week and a half ago. I think they've got a bright future. He called for a bottom in this component of semiconductors, and he's looking forward to saying, hey, we love our future. We love our 2020. They raised guidance. They got an upgrade here today as well.
This space, Micron, AMD, Intel's breaking out. Applied Materials was the best performing in the S&P 500 stocks, up 90% year to date. This, despite all the news headlines, all the volatility of the geopolitical situation in 2019, these stocks just performed.
Yeah, no, they had an incredible
some
year.
more consistent than others, but positive earnings announcement last week on Micron. Obviously, a good old fashioned upgrade. No real trigger here from a technical perspective. You're overextended, you're chasing the dragon, and you really don't have a lot of momentum. So I'd wait for some consolidation, wait for a high base, play it off a breakout off a high base.
AMD, AMAT, Taiwan, so many strong companies this year. AMD just had a juggernaut year, and in fact, hitting a new high here today, Matt.
Oh, AMD's up like 300% year to date.
It's incredible. By the way, a Tackle 25 component from last year, Intel also looking very good here today. When the chips run, they tend to all run together. Intel breaking up and breaking out a little bit here. I know that
Intel's getting booted though.
It's not going to make 2020. It won't.
It's not. It will most likely. It might make dividend, but probably not. It has nothing to do with Intel. It's just this one's a little difficult, Tim. It's not the chip I like the most, and it doesn't have great volatility to do covered calls on.
They don't pay enough on cash flow anymore, it seems.
Yeah, and that's the thing about that 25 this year. Last year when we were doing the research for the 25, we had to be very, very conservative because of where volatility was at that time, right? Mid-December, and we're seeing the market just get its teeth kicked in. And, even on Walmart, we were getting 3% covered call, and you may get 1.5, 2% sometimes on Walmart. But, this year, stocks that, have literally 40% implied volatility rates, and you're getting 1.8% on that. So it's been a difficult year to try to find those, but, we got it narrowed down. I only got to cut 8 more 25, and then we have it. So yeah. I'm excited to get this launched next week.
By the way,
the new version of the 25 coming out this next Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Monday.
I think on Tuesday for the Coaches Show, you and I are going to be there, and we're going to be going through the list and kind of talking about the 25 as well. There's going to be a lot of stuff, from Tackle Trading on the Tackle 25 the next couple of weeks. It's always an exciting time of year, Matt. You finish one year, you start the next year, you get these lists developing, and you start looking forward. It's all about goal setting and, looking forward at what you can do next.
I don't expect the 25 to perform in 2020 the same way it did in 2019. It was a historic year this year. 92% win-loss rate, average performance 24%, average cash flow right around 22%. It was just a really, really, really good year for the 25. But I'm hopeful. Yeah. I like the list so far, and I already know. I know I start to like the list when I start hating cutting companies from it.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at right now. It's like I was talking to a bunch of students down Dallas this week, and I said, I feel like I'm trying to pick between my kids. And so that's when you're down to the cream of the crop, and there's probably going to be about 15 new stocks on the list, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah. It is very, very exciting. I already know some of the names that I think are going to make it. And guys, you should be very fired up to get this list for 2020. There's no question about it. Matt, let's run through the commodities real quick. There's some quick analysis. Crude oil is not doing much. They did punt, and they moved the oil inventories, which to Friday this week, shortened economic week. They're always going to move things around a little bit. Make sure you double check your economic calendar. Crude's had a nice run. We're up here at 60. It's in a bullish territory in that regard, above moving averages. What's your read on crude?
Last time I was in the halftime report last Tuesday, we were looking at crude breaking out at 60 and said, you're in that extended trend line. Well, let it come down, test 60 again. Let's see 60 hold now. And when you're looking at it as of right now with the drop that we had on Friday, you're really kind of kissing off that 9 EMA right there. But one thing I'm starting to get interested here is look at this as it was driving down. Where did it come into? Pinged 60. Right there at 60. Yep. I mean, we're talking the low price 60.02 here, comes in the zone, and now you're starting to break out of a W formation on an intraday perspective with the trigger right above 60.60. So I could see the short-term traders coming in this week and be like, light news week this week, purely technical here, 60's holding. Let's take 60 cents risk. Let's get above the high of the day. Let's put a stop loss under 60. Let's ride the 9. I could definitely see that.
Natural gas coming back into that 220 mark. As a matter of fact, we kind of nailed this one, Matt. You said it's going to retest this at some point on this bearish retracement. Now, whether it breaks or not, that's going to be a very significant thing to watch. Light in news week, the weather expectations, who knows? I did read that we might get snow on Christmas here in Utah, so that would be kind of cool for my kids.
Little white Christmas?
That's what it said on the weather forecast. Sitting on support here, Matt, nice. Retesting, support's going to be a key level here for natural gas, right?
No, I mean, what I said was, based on what the short-term trend is doing in the pattern, the projections has to be down to 2.2 again, right? And, we've seen this a couple times recently, 3 out of the last 5 weeks. Coming out of the weekend, we see it gap down. And, we can make the jokes about the weather all we want, but the reality is you're now at 2.22. You're 10% away from that almighty 2.2 number. And, if you got a credit spread in the $2.10 level, if that level's broken, you got to be a little concerned about it. Yeah. But Tim, I'll say it today, like I said it a week and a half ago, you got to wait till that level is broken. 2.2 is a very important level, important short-term level of support for it. We held last time, we held intraday today, we held, 2 months ago. So let's see it get broken before we freak out.
Yeah, I'm with you. By the way, one of the toughest rankings from last weekend when I was with the coaches going through the rankings for the scouting reports was palladium because of the depth of the pullback. It's got a nice hammer candlestick here today trying to hold 1800. Quick peek at that chart, Matt, because I think it's a really interesting chart in metals. Platinum, gold, silver, we'll talk about them in a minute. But man, that was that deep pullback. And Friday, it had a 4% down candle on high volume on a red candle. Now we're holding that. Metal's looking pretty good today. Palladium's been the most interesting one.
Well, you guys don't like bullish retracements that come back into the bull zone. You don't like them kissing off 1800, the old resistance pivot. You don't like those things.
I like them.
You don't. Wait. The coaches of tackle, they don't like. They missed out on this entire run over the last month and a half. They finally get a retracement and they're scared about it. Come on,
dude, 5% candles.
Put your big boy britches on, buddy.
Volume and candle size, they do matter.
Oh, cowards.
It's true. Oh, yeah, we did downgrade that one to the
We've been complaining about how too high this was, how the RSI was too high. You get your pullback, you kiss the 50 the same way you did last time, and no, prep the trade.
Yeah, I'm still hesitating. I might miss this one again. How many times am I going to miss this one? I've got to wrap my head around it, do some meditating about palladium and get some confidence and actually get in there and position size correctly. And
listen,
and
it has not confirmed yet. It is not confirmed. Hammer candle gives it some curiosity today. Increasing volume gives it curiosity today. But both days in the last 2 days, palladium has kissed off that 1800 zone, came right back up. Maybe you wait for it to reclaim the moving averages, maybe the high of the day, prep the trade. This is a retracement. That's what it is. It's a bullish retracement. I don't like the volume I've seen in it. I don't like the 5% down day. But Tim, when you see bullish retracements, you're going to get one or two of those big down days.
Yeah. Every
single time. Yeah. You don't get them in flag-based patterns. You don't get them in pendants. You don't get them in high bases. But you're going to get a day like you had on Friday with that big downward movement in price. Support's real. 1800 is real. So this, to me, this might not be the highest probable setup for palladium. We've had higher probability breakouts on palladium in the last 6 months, but this is the best return for risk you're going to get in palladium.
It's finally got a nice pullback, and that RSI has come back down into the 50 mark where it was up near 100, literally at 100, when it was hitting the high points up there at 1974. Interesting chart. Gold is pressing to a higher point, not breaking out yet. There's not much analysis there, but the silver chart actually looking really decent.
Silver's looking sexy a little bit.
Yeah, silver's looking a little bit better than gold. Yeah.
Might be breaking out. Still concerning.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about the overall pattern and going into this week. I'm not sure I would take that directional breakout. Probably going to pass, but I do like it.
It's still way choppy.
Yep.
Way choppy.
Yep. Move on to the dollar, bearish retracement on the dollar. China came out over the weekend, Matt, and said they're going to cut import tariffs, not just for the US, but for everybody. Might just be positioning from what I was reading so that their other trading partners don't complain when they actually sign a US-China trade deal. The dollar doing nothing here today on much of that news. There's not a lot of economics. I know we had, durable goods orders, new home sales orders, they kind of missed, but the dollar dojing here, Matt. Any read on the dollar for me?
No, technically this week you're hitting up in resistance on a very important trend line. It's going to be important to see if it can reclaim that. Plus the moving averages are all there in the cluster with the dollar. There's not a lot economically this week at all.
Yeah. Cody was saying before the show, and I didn't make fun of him then, so I won't give him too hard of a time now, how he was waiting up late last night to see if the Kiwi would break on the New Zealand US dollar cross pair. And I'm just thinking, coming into this week, I'm looking at theta, Matt. I am not.
I traded it short term, 5-minute time frame. So
no, I get it. Day trading, I get it. I guess when you're losing,
day traded, I was just hoping that it would actually break from a day trade into a swing trade. It's kind of what I was looking to do.
I just pieced all this together. When you're losing all of your fantasy football playoff games, you go into your Forex account to see if you can make some money back and feel good about it.
Hey, I took second in the Dynasty League, but I'm beating Randall in my Hawaii League. So
yeah.
So he and I got the championship there, and
yeah,
I'm gonna win one.
Yeah,
I'm gonna of my wins and losses in fantasy, I'm gonna have enough wins to offset my losses and make a profit this year. I'm in 5 leagues, championship in 2.
Yeah, you had a better year than I did. I had a terrible year in fantasy football. Very, very mediocre. Couple of nice moments, but outside of that, not much. Matt, every Monday we always take a look at the sectors. There's not a lot of upgrade downgrades. A couple of ones that I find interesting.
Say, I mean, we kept pretty much a lot what the same. S&P at 15, slight upgrade on the dollar, just given what that retracement is. I think the dollar's ranked too high personally. I think that bearish retracement's real. But outside that, slight downgrade on discretionary, slight downgrade on industrials, upgrades in communications and staples to kind of match what we're seeing in the financial sector, and quite frankly, technology and healthcare too high rated right there at the 10-yard market. Yeah, but technically they're very similar to what we've been seeing for the last week.
Well, and healthcare has just been an absolute monster this month and this quarter. There's no question about it. I will mention, one tie into the conversation on fantasy football. DraftKings is going to IPO, with DEAC as a company. They're doing some kind of acquisition, then an IPO into the stock price. About a $4 billion price tag is what I saw, Matt. Do you think fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, is worth $4 billion? That's what Wall Street's saying. It's crazy. I mean,
when their draft
10 years from now
setup is a little bit different than the season wise. You're drafting every day, and you're not necessarily playing against other people. You're just playing like based on what you spend to draft a player in that day. Do they perform well enough for it to work?
With gambling going legal all across the states?
Yeah. It's gambling. That's gambling.
Yeah, it's big business.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Also, wouldn't touch any IPO, but yeah, send us out, T.
Yeah, let's call this one here today on a Monday. Obviously the halftime report is something we really enjoy. Tomorrow, though, family is going to be something we really enjoy. We're taking the day off here at Tackle Trading for Christmas Eve, as well as Christmas Day. We will be back on Thursday. And by the way, if you're a member of our community, fantastic, welcome. And if you're not, and you're looking to become a member of our pro service, there's always a 15-day trial in the comments and the link below. And if you're already a pro member and you attended that webinar last week, or you've been attending our shows, we got a discount going on right now for some of our systems. We've got a holiday campaign. I've dropped the link on that campaign in the chat as well. Cash Flow Condors, Tackle 25, Bear Market Survival Guide, as well as a bundle with our annual subscription. If you're interested in any of those, make sure you go check out the sales page or even the replay on the webinar. Cody, Merry Christmas. Great job this year, young man. Matt, fantastic job today. And everybody out there at Tackle Trading, Team Tackle, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays again. We appreciate you very much, and we're very grateful for what we're doing over here in our community. Have a safe holiday. We'll see you guys on Thursday.